Welcome to the Squad Show. I'm Sam Ekstrom, and I've got the last time the Vikings had half a dozen drops in a game, more recently than you think.
Hey, this is Arif Hasan with Wide Left Football. I have apparently been bothering my co-hosts with my persistent and endless optimism.
What's happening? Luke Inman at Luke_Spinman, and they are who we thought they were. We let them off the hook.
I'm Luke Braun of Locked On Vikings, and I'm running away with the betting competition, but I didn't want it to happen like this.
Skol! It's the Viking Squad. Everything Minnesota Vikings, every week. Breaking down all the big hits and game-changing plays from the land of 10,000 lakes, the way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. It's time to gear up. The Viking Squad Show starts now.
Do we feel any better today? Welcome to the Squad Show on the Locked On Vikings podcast feed. We're available for free wherever you get your podcasts. We do this Mondays, Thursdays, and after the games. We did it yesterday. We had a great live audience commiserating with us after the Vikings 1917 loss. We've got the morning after perspective today right here, again, streaming live on Locked On Vikings and brought to you by FanDuel. New customers can bet just $5. If your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the number one sports podcast network. How patient can and should the Vikings be with this arduous development process of J.J. McCarthy? Whose seat is the hottest on the coaching staff? We'll rank them later in the show. Also, special teams, that guy's seat might be hot. Why is special teams the way that it is? We also have nerdy stats of the day. Luke Inman was in the crowd yesterday. Now, Luke, are you a boo guy? Are you a booer?
Yeah.
Because I'd like to know if you were part of the chorus.
Big boo guy. Yeah, big boo guy. And the Boo Birds were out, Sam. The Boo Birds were out. That was the game I picked to go to. That was the game. You got Lamar Jackson on the schedule comes out. You got Lamar. You got, at the time, Joe Burrow. You got Jalen Hurts. What game you got circled, Luke? Let's go to the Bears game. That should be good. That should be a lot of fun. Yeah, Bears fans, man, they were out. Holy smoke. I don't know if you could tell on TV. It felt like 65-35 Bears. They had that place stacked up.
It did not sound that way on TV at all.
I could not tell from the broadcast that was the case.
Okay, well, they were out. I mean, you could hear it in the stadium. You could feel it yesterday. They're having fun. 6-3 going into yesterday. Really felt like Bears fans felt so loud because, I mean, you sit back and think about Vikings didn't give us anything to cheer for, obviously.
No.
I mean, not only was
we held them to another field goal.
Oh, a 4-yard run, 4.5.
Hey, that last drive was fun, all right? That one was
last
cool.
drive was great. But I'm sure you guys talked about it on the Insta reaction, but JJ obviously was terrible. I mean, I'm talking, you could, even in the stadium without the all 22, the replays, things like that, you could just see that when the ball left his hand, you could just tell the trajectory. Some of these balls weren't even going to be close. I obviously, I don't go to every game, but that was without a doubt the loudest Boo Birds I think I've heard with my own 2 years at a Viking game, US Bank or otherwise. Just nothing to cheer for, man. No splashy plays to get excited about. Again, we joke. The run game was solid for 55 minutes or so. Their long was, like 7, 8, 9 yards, though? Like, no splashy, fun plays to get juiced up about. It was very boring, so uneventful until obviously the very end, but just not a fun, entertaining game to sit down and watch. I mean, just as far as being entertained sitting in my seat, probably the best part up until those last 5 minutes were the 2025 mascot game versus the Spring Lake Park fifth graders. Grimace from McDonald's made a special appearance, which was like, wow, dude, goosebumps, HOF in the building, stand up and shout. It was unbelievable. But seriously, like JJ was so bad. I'm looking up and they got some team stats up on the Jumbotron. 74 passing yards well into the third quarter. Like what are we doing? They could have put a documentary up on the Jumbotron about how Play-Doh is made, And that would have been more entertaining than what I sat down and watched. It was just rough all day, again, until the very end. But
you say that like you picked an example of something boring, but I would
in my algo.
genuinely like watch that. Like
It's
throw
in
that
my
up on a
algo.
YouTube channel. There's
a
I've
reason
already
I
got it
picked
up.
that. Yeah, go check it out. Go check it out. Go check out my blog.
Luke, we tried to contextualize this on the post game yesterday.
Yeah.
So remove the interceptions, which are clearly damaging and bad.
Mhm.
Right.
The completion percentage, McCarthy and Williams, identical, 16 of 32.
The class of 2024, the pride of that 2024 class.
Right.
JJ, man. Wow.
But it felt like Williams was just so much better. That's how bad McCarthy's day was. Like a lot of those Williams incompletions were smart throwaways, right? He used his legs well. McCarthy didn't use his legs at all yesterday. Did he have a rushing attempt? I'm not sure he did. Just two stat lines fairly similar. One quarterback very different than the other, and we'll get into the drops. But I want to pose this morning after. Is this what we bargained for? Is this what development looks like?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
The quarterback has to develop. Like, some just skip that. Mahomes skips the steps. Most quarterbacks have a little.
He sat for a while.
Yeah. He sat.
He was taking practice reps all year. Yeah.
Little different. But of the quarterbacks that play 5 games, McCarthy's way, way down that list, right? I know people like to use the Peyton Manning example. Oh, he struggled in year 1. This is bad. This is really bad relative to all other quarterbacks that have played their first 5 games. And I've got the numbers. I filtered it out last 25 years. Of 118 QBs that played 5 games and had 100 pass attempts, McCarthy is 99th of 118, tied for 5th most interceptions, tied 25th in sacks. He's 101st in average net yards per attempt, or adjusted, 104th in rating. I could give them all to you. Bottom 10%, bottom 20% of that list.
But who's below him? Jared Goff, the best quarterback in the division. So
Enough said.
Point.
Let's wrap it up.
Mic drop. Segment's over. No, this is, people are saying this is what development is. Like, you have to be, I don't know. Doesn't feel like this is the way development should look like. This is much worse.
What do you mean? What is it supposed to look like? Like if
you want Jaden Daniels, you just want to show right up,
right? Yeah,
you don't want Nathan Peterman.
If
just move on.
That's the bar.
That's quarterback first round.
Yeah, just like have him.
I look around. I look around other quarterbacks close to JJ McCarthy on the list. There are not a lot of reclamations there.
No, they're
not a lot of people who start out this way work their way up the list, and it's all going to be okay.
Well, how about just
concerning?
How about the 2024 class, though? We were talking about Michael Penix. He's shelved for the rest of the year. How many of those 6 quarterbacks in the first round, or really top 12 picks, I guess, how many were considered like pro ready? Maybe Jaden Daniel, Bo Nix, maybe depending on lower ceiling.
People said Caleb Williams was, and I'm not going to let them get away with that.
No.
Got him. Okay, but no, like genuinely, actually, Bo Nix is a great example of this. We don't know how good he is. There's a huge debate on how good he is.
Mm-hmm.
I personally think he's like a scheme merchant, right? But a lot of people think that he's good. Well, his first 5 games are actually, from an EPA per play perspective, right, somewhat close to where McCarthy is. And people are very happy with how Bo Nix, generally speaking, how that offense has developed, at least for that rookie year, the back half of that season. Right? That did change really significantly. So I was looking at the same thing as you, Sam, going back all the way to 2000. I actually downloaded a play-by-play of 1998 so I could get the Peyton Manning one too, just so I could take a look at it, because I sent out a tweet last night. I was really annoyed with the Peyton Manning comparisons because by the end of the year, Manning had actually produced about like 18th out of 32 quarterbacks in a lot of relevant and important statistics, including EPA per dropback. But actually, I looked at the first 5 games. I looked at his per dropback and his successive per dropback stuff, and it's actually really close to where McCarthy is. Now, obviously, this is a very narrow slice. It's a very small example. Most quarterbacks who are bad start out bad, right? Like that should be our prior, right? That we've got this array of quarterbacks. About 40% of them don't bust, 60% of them do. Of that 60%, most of them are bad the whole time, including at the beginning. And McCarthy is in that group, but some of them obviously aren't. Alex Smith is also down there, right? It took him a while to turn around. Jared Goff is down there. The one thing that seems to be the case for most, not all, most of the quarterbacks in that group of first 5 games they look bad is that by the end of the year, most of them in production metrics seem to improve. Now, that's not always the case. Josh Allen actually got worse, right? Every quarterback is a unique snowflake. But if we're looking at these broad trends, some quarterbacks, and I just downloaded a couple of these charts just to take a look at this question. But some of the quarterbacks that succeeded, that started out quite poorly, did end up getting close to improving their metrics by their 16th game. So I looked at it like on a per drop back basis with a 16 game cutoff. So you've got Patrick Mahomes started over the course of 2 years, Jared Goff over the course of 2 years, right? Because he didn't start his first 7 or 8 games. But I was taking a look, and players like Baker Mayfield actually is another decent example that they didn't start out very hot. Now, the one thing that I think distinguishes JJ McCarthy from a pessimism, optimism standpoint from this group of guys, which again is a very narrow window. We're asking for a little bit more hope than we had when the guy was drafted, right? I think his odds have lowered of turning into a success, but that doesn't mean you give up on the guy, right? The one thing is that a lot of these guys were in awful environments, and we don't generally think that's the case for the Vikings, right? Jared Goff was in an awful coaching environment, and I wasn't enamored with the supporting cast, right? Peyton Manning was drafted to a 3-win team, right? Josh Allen, I remember, was one of the worst teams on paper I'd ever seen, that Buffalo Bills team. It was Deion Dawkins and a bunch of guys that maybe shouldn't have been in the NFL. It was a really bad team, right? And I don't think that's where, and Baker Mayfield, Browns, come on, right? I don't think that's where we're at. So if we're only looking at production numbers, I think that there are reasons to think that he's not going to kind of navigate this fairly narrow pathway. But I also think it's stupid to give up on a guy after 5 games, right? I think that you play it out. And if he doesn't improve, and specifically, not just from a production standpoint, I think he'll naturally improve that way. But from some of the traits-based problems that we're seeing, operational stuff at the line of scrimmage, footwork late in games, right? Accuracy, specifically, to these intermediate outs, right? But generally accuracy, right? Timing, those elements of his game from a traits-based perspective. If he doesn't improve there, then I think we can say, hey, maybe we got to have the Josh Rosen discussion of punting on this guy early. But I think it's a very high threshold for when you get to that point, because I think getting a guy that has the traits to be a good quarterback is difficult enough. And I think McCarthy has those traits, right? You have to kind of stick with it and let the guy continue to make mistakes without pulling him and just take the lumps. Now, I think Vikings fans got rug pulled. I think a couple of the free agents got rug pulled. I think that it's fair to say it's frustrating that you enter the season with a quarterback this bad. That's fine. Reset your expectations. Now we're in development hell. That's what you have to work with.
Yeah,
It's just real quick.
It's two separate questions. Yeah, it's 2 separate questions. It's why didn't they live up to the expectations that they themselves kind of puffed out their chests about? They thought that this was a contender with a rookie on, QB rookie contract. They were doing the thing. The roster was super ready, made to order. We're going to make this JJ McCarthy thing work. And setting McCarthy's development and struggles aside, a whole bunch of stuff about that roster has also totally gone belly up. Javon Hargrave is a disaster of a free agent signing. Guys are getting benched. O-line's hurt all the time. You bought into a bunch of injury things, and then that burned you. A bunch of things went wrong with that anyways. It's not like they're sitting there with the best roster since 2009, and then the quarterback is ruining it. Some of these guys really suck. So there's that part of it that is well, why wasn't this roster as good as you thought? Why couldn't you take all of this talent and all of this experience and turn it into something that was, as good as advertised? And then there's the question of, okay, and then this quarterback was not pro ready at all. This quarterback wasn't ready to go. I kind of think sometimes we mistake old Band-Aids for being all in rather than temporary solutions because you need someone to do the position while you don't have a guy and you're still kind of building up the roster. But those old Band-Aids were supposed to be exciting. So when you ask the other side of the question about, okay, what do we do with JJ McCarthy now for the next, I mean, I'm talking 3 years, right? Like this is what you're like, he's got the rest of this year, 2 more on his rookie deal, probably a 5th-year option unless you're, Blake Bortlesing it and you're getting in it and it's, real bad. What do we do for the rest of it, right? Well, for the rest of this season, the answer is pretty obvious. You see if he doesn't pull a few things together and start to show something a little more. And if you do want to talk about Josh Rosening it in the offseason, I think a really key component to that comparison is having the opportunity to get somebody that, like, you're not just punting to punt, right? Like Arizona had the 1 overall pick, which the Vikings won't get. Or you need to have a line on like a blockbuster QB trade that would, set the world on fire or something like that. You need to have, you're not going to move on from JJ McCarthy just to say, let's go back into the draft with, pick number 13. You would move on from JJ McCarthy because holy crap, there's a contract dispute and we're going to trade for Josh Allen. Like you need something insane like that. Or, we have the 1 overall pick or something like that. Otherwise, yeah, man, it is. They're going to let a quarterback develop, and then, you're going to lose years of Justin Jefferson's prime. You're going to lose years of Jordan Addison's contract. You're going to lose years on all these guys. You're also going to draft new guys. You're going to pick up new free agents. There's going to be other players that join. That's how the NFL works. Things change a lot year to year to year to year, and it's why you never punt on a season. But I think there's a lot of fear and about like, what if we waste a bunch of time? Like, folks, we're there, man. That time's getting wasted. Sorry.
Yeah, not too much to add. I just want to go. It's just funny. Knicks versus McCarthy comparisons. Knicks 25 right now, JJ 22. But the starts, total college and pro starts, Knicks 89, JJ 33, and you can even go back to Arif's point about how Knicks at the beginning of last year, those first 5 games didn't look good too. I mean, you could take out the 28 games started, Knicks has under his belt with the Denver Broncos in the NFL. And again, he's still got twice as many starts. I think, when we think about JJ right now, start number 5. And when we talk about 2, I guess this conversation of like, what happened to being competitive with a guy in his rookie deal and all that. What really set this whole train off the tracks was him wiping out his entire first year because of injury. And then in turn, the roster being an entire year older while he's still clearly taking these baby steps as well. So that obviously was never part of the blueprint. Obviously something you just can't account for or control either, but the dude still needs his reps. I know it's been flat out ugly more times than not. Not to say that he hasn't done some things well. I mean, you can put that, I guess, small amount of things that we can get into on his resume too. But just when you sit back and kind of examine from the eye test, you just sit back and watch him. He's just the speed of the NFL game going from college to the pros and commanding a real NFL offense, KOC's offense, no less. He's just clearly really uncomfortable with that. And again, he just needs reps.
A gamble was taken when they built a win now roster, and Too Evil to Hope in the chat points this out. They took a developmental QB and created a win now scenario with the way they constructed the team. A gamble was made that magic could really happen if we have this roster set up and he can skip some of the growing pains and be ready to win. That's where the window lies. And in providing that support for JJ McCarthy, I think Kevin O'Connell thought he was serving his young QB in ways that other organizations didn't. He felt like this was the best thing to do. And in some ways, that's damaging him because of the expectation that's been created.
I don't know if I agree with
I think
that.
It cuts both ways.
Well, if that line is healthy, that line has not been healthy. And then the backups on that line have kind of undermined that whole point. But like, he got pressured like 8 times last week. That's a great environment for JJ McCarthy to
the offensive
do the
line
best
played well.
he can.
I should note that this was JJ McCarthy's fastest time to throw by a significant margin.
Yeah, which
helps.
Which plays to the scheme thing I talked about yesterday. Like they did a lot of simpler things, and it worked a lot better. If only they could have figured that out before November. But I think putting a bunch of talent around the QB so the QB can develop a little better, I don't think that's like secretly damaging because of the expectations. It feels like that to us, but like the alternative to that is what? Well, let's only fix a couple of the O-line positions. We'll have Justin School out there all year. We don't want too much expectations on the QB. Like that feels like
right. Yeah.
But it does. I mean, then you need everyone literally has got to be lockstep in that they're not going to get impatient. And is that realistic? Is ownership, GM,
are the Wolves going to get impatient? Do you know them?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think that's like I think it really depends.
You're impatient, and that's fine.
I think it
but
really
the Wolves
depends
and everybody else, they take it differently.
On how much external expectations leak into and affect the building, right? I think that's the only way that, having an outstanding supporting cast could be kind of a double-edged sword. And I actually think that that's kind of unlikely in the sense that if you have a quarterback that is affected by those things, you're probably boomed regardless, right? There's no way that quarterback is ever going to succeed if that's the kind of thing that impacts them, because every quarterback is going to go through some rough patches, and those rough patches are going to affect their psyche. Now, obviously, younger quarterbacks are probably a little bit more kind of vulnerable to that kind of thing, and you do want to like prevent, psychologically, damaging them and stuff like that. But I just generally think that what you're discussing is about external expectations. And I think internally, there's just a different way to evaluate it. And I think that there's a really high likelihood that this is a staff and a front office and an ownership group that is aligned with being very patient with these things. And I think what has historically happened with Vikings ownership and the various, members of the front office and coaching staff is that there has been a conversation about what expectations are, right? I think the Wilfs have been pretty correct to move quickly when it makes sense to move quickly. Like, hey, the expectations were we just got off the NFC Championship game. You were expected to win. So sorry, Brad Childress, you're out, right? Whereas you get a new quarterback, you get a new coach, you're like, hey, we've got a little bit more time to kind of to stretch this out. We'll be patient with you as we figure out who the heck Christian Ponder is, or as we figure out kind of who the heck Teddy Bridgewater is. I think I think generally speaking, the front office and the ownership group has a good understanding of what timelines are appropriate for the situation that the front office and coaching staff is in, and play to those expectations.
Not a lot to add on that.
Let's break.
Okay,
hold that thought. We're late. Also, whose seat is the hottest on the coaching staff? That and Luke Inman's poignant thoughts after this. We're brought to you today by Mint Mobile. If you're still overpaying for wireless, it's time to say yes to saying no. At Mint Mobile, their favorite word is no. No contracts, no monthly bills, no overages, no hidden fees, no BS. I said yes to making the switch and getting premium wireless for just $15 a month. Mint makes it simple. All plans come with high-speed data, unlimited talk and text, delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. You can even bring your own phone over with the same number, same contacts, all of that. Keep continuity. We're shooting for continuity here with our wireless plan. The setup's really easy. You get the same quality service you had before. It's just a fraction of the price. Ready to say yes to saying no? Make the switch. MintMobile.com/LockedOnNFL. That's MintMobile.com/LockedOnNFL. Upfront payment of $45 required, equivalent to $15 a month. Limited time, new customer offer for first 3 months only. Speeds may slow above 35 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details. Rolling on with the Squad Show. Ron Johnson Show tomorrow on Locked On Sports Minnesota, then the Care 11 edition of the Squad Show Wednesday back here on Locked On Vikings. So Luke Inman, before the break, talking about patience, the patience of all involved. Your thoughts?
Well, I was just not a ton to add to what Braun and Arif mentioned, but I wasn't on the postcast yesterday, so yesterday's game still kind of on the forefront. Dudes were open left and right yesterday. Say what you want about the play calling, but KOC is scheming guys open. Obviously, the accuracy and the mechanics are still a huge red flag, and I'm not enough of an expert to say how to fix that stuff, but big picture conversation circling back, I just know from the history of young quarterbacks in the NFL, 5 games just isn't enough to decipher whether a guy has what it takes to be a starting quarterback or not. So this is the guy you use the top 10 pick on for, good or worse. I still feel like you're committed to following out that plan, that process of developing him, trusting KOC to build him up, kind of to the guy they thought he could be when they drafted him 2 years ago. How long that takes, though, Sam, to your point, I don't know. What the roster looks like when things hopefully start to click, I don't know. But nothing else really matters in this league until you got your quarterback. And right now, these last 7 games, that should be the number one focus. Quarterback first, fill in the missing pieces of the roster. Whatever that looks like at that point, second.
Yeah, playoff dream probably dead. We addressed that for about a good 20 minutes on yesterday's reaction show. So if patience is really a virtue this organization is holding, maybe a lot of moves don't get made. But I think on the coaching staff, there's some blame to go around, fingers to be pointed. In our Rank 'em segment today, we're going to rank whose seat is the hottest.
This is Minnesota Sports Rank 'em, part of Locked On Sports Minnesota, and it starts now.
We don't mess around. We don't bury the lead in this segment. I want your number one first. I want who has the hottest seat on the staff. Let's go to Arif Hasan.
Matt Daniels, unambiguously bad, but we'll talk about that in more detail. But like unambiguously bad coaching, unambiguously bad results, persistent repetition of the same mistakes over and over. It is a bad special teams unit. It, in some ways, lost the game for the Vikings. Now, the primary author of the loss this Sunday was J.J. McCarthy, but there's a supporting author here, and it's the special teams unit, right? Like the Vikings would have won that game with the good special teams unit, right? So I think Matt Daniels has the hottest seat. That's number one for me. We can talk about 2, 3, 4, 5, but that's number one.
It has to be Daniels, yeah. The only redeeming thing I can think of is they finally have a kicker with a quiet mind. Which maybe, hey, you know what? I don't know how burned you all are by kicker problems, but maybe that's worth it to you. But they've been pretty dreadfully bad at kickoff returns. They've been pretty dreadfully bad at kickoff coverage. Of course, they gave up the big one in such a huge spot. Ryan Wright shanks one every other week. There's a lot of really bad stuff on this. And I think the problems that lead to that on special teams aren't ones that you can make a quick fix for. They're you didn't practice how to block. Now your guys can't block. You're just kind of in that now forever. There's nothing you can do about that. You can't just take a whole offensive, drill out of your practice week so that your kickoff people can learn how to block. Also, I don't know if you saw the clip from the end of the broadcast of Kevin O'Connell on the sideline when that happened.
Oh,
he was not happy
he
had some choice words had some choice words that I don't think we can repeat on this show for Matt Daniels.
Time to pull up my DVR. I'm very excited for this.
Yeah, when you don't know how to block, when you don't have a proper technique, when you're maybe just not as good as the guy across from you and you get beat, that's when you start to hold. Eventually you're going to get caught, and they've gotten caught time and time over and over again. And we talked, maybe the bigger conversations here with special teams, we talked a lot about how top heavy this roster was going into the year and how the second and third team guys, we just weren't super confident in. I think that's starting to show a little bit. 10 weeks into the year that the special teams unit just isn't very good. So Matt Daniels, somebody's got to take the bullet. I don't know. Matt Daniels, he's got to fall on that sword, but it might just be a case of
pick 100 too on Ty Felton without any expectation of ever having that guy work from scrimmage.
Do you want to guess where the Vikings rank in special teams penalties?
Gotta be bottom 3.
I know they're number 1 in kickoff return penalties. I'm going to guess, 2 or 3 overall in special teams penalties.
5th. They are 5th in special teams penalties. The Titans have 20.
Yeah.
The Raiders and Patriots have 19 each. Cowboys have 18. Vikings have 17. And it is possible to be good at this. San Francisco has 3. So through the 3 years of work, Daniels was here in 22, right? He's been there every year.
Yeah.
With KOC.
Mm-hmm.
Coming off of 2024, I think we would have said pretty happy with the special teams, pretty pleased with his work on the whole. Will Reichard, solid. Ryan Wright, solid. The units, solid. Is there enough equity there to buy him one more year?
No.
Would be my question.
I believe not. I believe this has been too dysfunctional of a unit.
Yeah. The kickoff change certainly has exposed some for being more innovative than others. Don't think the Vikings have been particularly innovative. They also have
they tried their
who would
thing.
be on a historic year if not for these holding calls, assuming that he's able to, still complete some of those runs.
Right. Yeah.
Tavier Thomas also is tied for the most special teams penalties in the lead. Like Tavier himself has been a one-man wrecking crew.
I didn't have him on my final 53.
I just want to be clear. That's not me.
That's not
and by
on
the
me.
way,
don't put that on me.
They punted away on a 6th round rookie, trying to sneak him off to waivers so that they didn't have to cut Tavier Thomas.
I don't want to.
Kobe King playing on the Jets now. You lost him.
I'm looking at
and a four unit.
Also,
Kobe King was worse than Tavier on special teams.
Also, trying to.
I mean, he got a lot of penalties too, but like that's a rookie you spent a draft pick on.
Yeah.
Trying anyway made a good point in the comments too. Kenny Nwangwu looks good. He has a return touchdown, and he's got some pretty good returns on top of it. So I mean,
they cut him when the kickoff wasn't a thing. When it was like all touchbacks the one year, they were like, we don't need him, and then the rules changed again.
He was good the whole time, though.
Of the no return era, he was a leader in return yardage. Like
one of the only people actually doing it.
He was doing. It's crazy.
Oh, people in the chat are just now learning. Yeah, that happened a couple weeks ago. We cut Kobe King trying to sneak him to the practice squad, and he got claimed on waivers by the first team in the order.
Austin Keys, dude.
Austin Keys on the roster. That's got that going for us.
The draft class, Donovan Jackson. I think we really like his future. Ty Felton's been a good special teams asset. Tyrion Ingram-Dawkins, rotational piece, could be exciting. And then nothing from Kobe King, obviously, and Gavin Bartholomew. So you've got 3 dudes, like in this draft class, that could make this class acceptable.
Yeah, you're getting what you thought you were getting out of those guys, I guess is the kind way to put it. And then we just kind of don't have to talk about what that means with Ty Felton.
The next hottest seat behind Matt Daniels, I'm going to go Wes Phillips. That seems like an easy move to make to get another offensive influence in. Now, if you want to go lower down the ladder, I mean, you could get rid of your pass game coordinators like Brian Angelico, Brian Cordell. Those are your specialists in the pass game. Maybe that's an even easier move to make without rocking the boat too much. But Wes Phillips would also be a fairly logical move to try to get someone else in.
I'm going to go with McCown.
I'm going to go with McCown.
Yeah, the fact that QB development is backsliding is really concerning. Was Josh McCown just a Grant Udinski merchant last year? And I also remind you that the last young quarterback that he developed was the first year of Bryce Young, which was terrible. And Bryce Young, post McCown, has taken quite a few steps forward without him. So I'm thinking that his reputation as a Kevin O'Connell style former QB that knows how to be a QB whisperer, maybe not your future in this league, but maybe you got to be a scheme guy or something.
Maybe the loss of Udinski hitting harder than maybe we've talked about as well.
Yeah, I do want to address. You just pulled up his comment on the screen.
Yeah, bring in Dable.
NTD
they said.
Res Runner ND87.
Oh, no.
Just a wonderful set of bad suggestions throughout the show today from our guy here. From wanting to get Ryan Poles in.
And you two can join live.
No. Ryan Poles.
No, I know. Hold on. Let me finish, Sam.
Yeah.
I understand.
Oh, yeah. If the Chase
trying to get
Claypool trade
Ryan Poles in here, but
would not
calling
shut up
him
about it.
Brian Poles and spelling both parts of the name wrong. From bringing in known awful human Brian Dable in. There's just some incredibly terrible suggestions. There's at least one more in the chat. Just incredibly terrible suggestions. If you want to get roasted, of course, come in and chat away while we do live shows. But that was
YouTube.com/LockedOnVikings or /LockedOnMinnesotaSports.
Thank you. So yeah, just terrible stuff. But I think I would prefer to get rid of McCown over Wes Phillips, because when we think about kind of what their jobs are and how they've evolved their jobs, obviously one of the mysteries is what is Wes Phillips' job, because the most visible part of being an offensive coordinator is the play calling, and that's what Kevin O'Connell does, right? But we were just talking about, like, last week about Kevin O'Connell losing play calling duties because of how distracted it may be for a play calling head coach and to remove himself from play calling. But if we look at stuff like play design, the play designs are very good. I don't know how much Kevin O'Connell or Wes Phillips is involved in that. And if we want to talk about the way that the offense has adapted over the course of this year, we're not happy with the offensive output. But I actually think that the offense has adapted a lot over the course of the year for their quarterback situation and circumstances, for the opponent that they're playing against, really well. And if Wes Phillips is part of the game planning or design process, I would not want to get rid of him. The really heavy play action usage against the Browns, the faster time to throw and simpler game plan in this game here, what they did against there are adaptive changes for how the offense is being designed and implemented from a game planning perspective that I think are actually positives here. But the quarterback development is bad. And that to me sounds like a McCown problem, not a Phillips problem. Again, I don't know how involved Phillips is with all of this, but it is difficult for me to put him on the hot seat in the same kind of category as Daniels and McCown, if I think that the offense is actually changing and evolving in ways that are at least attempting to maximize this group of players that's just not playing all that well.
I do have McCown below or above Phillips for a lot of that reason, but I do think with the design, the whole idea of the designs being like overcomplicated and there are deep schematic issues, like the breaks of routes not marrying to the top of drops, like some of the spacing not making sense, like too much window dressing, and then you're giving up pressure and not really asking your players to do stuff that they are capable of. And I think that has infected the entire team for sure. But that is a scheme design issue that I think kind of falls on Wes Phillips's head. I hope they fixed it this week. They did a lot better with that this week. Maybe it's a thing of the past, and then it kind of doesn't become part of your end season evaluation. But if we're just trying to come up with names, like you said, Sam, with Wes Phillips too, that he is just like a cut up, trimmable, sacrificial lamb. So I've got him third on my list.
Well, I mean, Inman will end with you here, but I think the play around Phillips could be, there are going to be questions about KOC giving up play calling duty. I don't think he will, but there will be questions about it. And if he wanted to replace the OC with a known commodity at play caller and at least have that on the table to, maybe appease the masses, I think that could be a possibility.
Definitely could be a possibility. I think if I'm Wes Phillips and they call me into that office and say we're parting ways, I'd say, you didn't put me in the booth, though. Remember last year? That was the conversation. You put me in the booth, man. All of a sudden, the offense started to click a little bit. I think to Braun and Arif's point, just from my own two eyes without watching the game back yet yesterday, guys are open. So I do think the offense is evolving quite a bit. We'll see how much it continues to evolve or what kind of ebbs and flows it goes through, I guess, these last 7-8 games. But certainly both are in play. I tend to lean a little bit more towards McCown just because he's so heavily married and tied to the quarterback, and that has been the biggest issue. The offense, again, as a whole, week to week has gotten better in fine-tuning some things. The offensive line looked a lot better yesterday. The running game's been clicking. There is guys open in this passing game. I promise you that. But I think just by a little bit, I'd put McCown over Wes Phillips.
Macho Meach has been trying to statistician us here, and I think he's wrong. 4-2 without the squad in attendance, 0-4 with. Weren't you guys at the London game that they won?
Yeah.
1-2 this year with.
Mm-hmm.
For me.
Macho, we'll need to amend that on Macho Meach reference page. Also, plenty of folks in the comments saying, what about KOC? What about Flores?
They're clearly not.
0% chance in my mind.
Flores? I don't understand it. I saw that in my Twitter replies too. Get rid of
just
Flores.
Want everybody. Like some people are just like clean it all out. I think they just want the team to move to San Antonio so they don't have to root for him anymore.
That's got to be it, right? Because like Flores is performing really, like all of these teams except for the Eagles and Chargers. All of these teams are being held to well below their average production this year. This is one of Caleb Williams' worst games of the season. That's what you want, right? This is one of the worst points per drive that they've scored. That's what you want, right? They gave up that one touchdown drive. Oh no. Are defensive coordinators expected to pitch shutouts? The visible problem of tackling is an issue, but the invisible success of forcing a throwaway should be accounted for, right? I don't know, man. The defense is, I think, performing above its talent level. Have you seen Harrison Smith run? Have you seen Theo Jackson take a tackling angle? There's not as much to work with as I think a lot of people think.
Yeah, your front seven is in pretty good shape for next year, but you're going to have to reinvent safety. You're going to have to add bodies at corner. Probably
surely this time they will.
Probably okay. I don't know. I don't know a linebacker. You got a couple pending free agents there with Pace and Eric Wilson, but there's plenty of time in the offseason for that. We've got nerdy stats of the day next. I'll tell you the last time the Vikings had 6 drops. Brought to you today by FanDuel. Did the Vikings cover yesterday? No. Home favorites? Didn't happen. But you can get all the lines, all the over-unders, the spreads, the props at FanDuel, whether it's NFL or NBA or NHL, college football, college basketball, all available at FanDuel. Live wagering, very fun. You can get those live lines and oftentimes cash in big if you bet the comeback. You can stack up player props during the game, receiving yards, passing yards, whatever it might be, for a same-game parlay. FanDuel right now has a great promotion. If you bet $5, new customers bet $5 and win, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Sprinkle it around the app however you want. Head to FanDuel.com. Sign up and play your game with FanDuel. They're the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Back on the Squad Show on the #1 sports podcast network. Check out Locked On Vikings all week long with Luke Braun, and we'll get into our nerdy stats of the day.
Analytics fans rejoice. It's time to get educated.
Whoa, you're blowing my mind right now.
With the nerdy stat of the day.
I went on a wild goose chase this morning, and I'll be honest, I thought it would take an hour. Because to find drop counts for a given game, the only way I knew how to do it, Arif, maybe you can tell me how to do it differently, was to go game by game on Pro Football Focus and just see what the drop count was. And sure enough,
you could do it differently if you're willing to shell out $50,000 to Pro Football Focus. There's a really easy way to do it then.
I'm not. I'll pass. Soft pass. Maybe next week.
Should we crowdfund? Should we start out like a little GoFundMe?
Get us the data. Get us the. So it's actually happened within the last 2 years. And by the way, the drop count was 5 yesterday. It's moved to 6 upon review. So 6 drops yesterday for the Vikings. They had 6. Can you guess which game? Because I don't remember this game being like a drop fest, but apparently it was. For the Vikings 2 years ago.
2 years ago?
2 years ago?
Yep.
Dude, my memory is not that good. I can't remember stuff that happened in 2023.
I'm going to go with week 3 Chargers.
Ravens then.
That was a nonsense game, but it was not the game that we are. It was actually the next home game against the Chiefs.
Oh, wow. Yeah, we didn't remember anything on that one.
JJ got hurt.
JJ got hurt, yeah.
Yep. Drop by Brandon Powell, drop by Alexander Madison, drop by Justin Jefferson, 2 TJ Hawkinson drops, and Josh Oliver with a drop and a fumble.
And a fumble on the first drive, I believe. Right?
Yeah. When the first drive's all.
I guess you could say that for any week that year.
Any 2023 week. Nerdy stat, Inman. What do you got?
I'm trying to wing one right now. Let's kick it over to Arif.
All right.
Okay. All right. I was trying to wing one too. So I looked at all of the blitz rates over the course of the history of next gen stats data, which I think goes back to like 2016. So it's not that long, but 10 years, right? And the 2025 Vikings have the second largest blitz rate of any team season in Next Gen Stats history at 51.6%, only beaten out by the 2023 Vikings, 52.85%. Otherwise, you've got like a Wink Martindale Ravens group, a Wink Martindale Giants group, whatever the Falcons are doing this year. Who's their defensive coordinator? Ulbrich? Yeah.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
then I think of Martindale Ravens in 2020. So it's Wink Martindale and Brian Flores, and they're the ones kind of holding down the fort blitz wise. It's fun.
Luke Braun.
Pretty simple one. Not all that nerdy of a stat, but with yesterday's game, Dallas Turner moves to 4th on the team in pressure counts. Below Grenard, Jonathan Allen, and of course, Jalen Redmond.
Of course.
Jalen Redmond is the best part of the 2025 Vikings. Tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah.
It would be Miles Price if
you're
some of
not.
his
It's
returning-
so cool. Where did this guy come from? It's
Yeah.
such a cool story.
I love it. And frankly, I think fully justifies the Harrison Phillips deal. I know that we want to gripe about the run defense. I think you're honestly getting exposed more on the edges than you are up the middle. Like there a lot of
except
these
this
runs.
game.
I don't think that that's true. I think
This
you're
game
getting
was-
exposed on the D tackles in particular, and sometimes that is literally Redmond and then the linebackers too. I think it justifies the idea of trading a DT away, but you did the wrong one. You should have traded away one of your new free agent acquisitions and just dealt with that kind of looking funny.
Would have been the weirdest trade ever.
Yeah.
Sure.
Not
And
what
then-
I was looking for, but first time the Bears have been in first place in the NFC North in 7 years, back to 2018. I don't remember who they're 2018, Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah, that was the year I think that they had the double doink. Pretty sure it was.
They were a
Cody
wild
Parkey.
card. Okay.
Clang. Yeah. Also the year they beat the Vikings in
Yeah, that
week
was
17.
the double doink.
I just looked up
Yep.
Kene Nwangwu's statistics for the year in returns, right? So he currently leads the league in yards per kickoff return, as well as in starting field position when he's the returner, by a huge margin, by about 8 yards versus Derek Young. So I was like, well, maybe that's maybe that's the touchdown, right? Maybe the touchdown is screwing things up average wise. He's only had 11 fielded returns, right? So I got rid of the touchdown and looked at the data. He's still leading the league actually in average field position when he is the primary returner. So I don't know. That guy seems like he was good at kickoff returns. Not a good running back, but like that's not what that guy's for. So
Speaking of, is Ty Chandler coming back
who?
this year? Ty Chandler.
No, we heard you. Who?
I believe he's on designation to return, right?
Yeah, I think
That's
he
what I
is.
thought.
Yeah.
It's a knee injury.
Must have
Serious
been
business.
like a 12-week thing. The Packers are next week with the Vikings basically needing to win out, maybe room for one more loss in the season. They'll go to Lambeau, and you know what? It would just be so apropos of this season if the Vikings go in there like they did in Detroit and just play a perfect game and totally shift the conversation. That would be these erratic 2025 Vikings. We start that preview next. We also give you our Week 11 bet results. Quick pause. All right, back on the squad show. Let's just rip the Band-Aid here. Week 11 bets. Again, I'm trying to make up a $6,000 deficit. I did a two $1,000 touchdown scorer parlays. I got one. I got Jordan Addison. Not a parlay. I got one touchdown scorer. I
You
did
got
not
one
get the
leg.
other half.
One leg. Yep.
I got one half of one leg. Jordan Addison. I needed either Williams or Loveland. But it was Monangai, and that was Arif's guy. Monangai.
Hey, let's go.
Arif went 1-1. Arif, though, treading water. Luke Braun extending his lead. And as you alluded to in the cold open, Luke, you have made an absolute fortune betting against the purple.
I'm getting something at least. That's, it soothes
emotional
the sting
hedge.
a little bit. Yep, the emotional hedge. Big emotional hedge guy.
It's working. Luke Inman, we're digging a big hole, man. It's getting ugly.
It got ugly a couple weeks ago. This is just embarrassing at this point, Sam.
Inman, how was your view of the final field goal yesterday? On TV, because the previous kick that he missed, it kind of started middle and then tailed and missed.
Yep.
And this kick started the exact same way.
Yes, it did.
I thought it was.
Yeah, I thought I was gonna miss
wide.
too. I was like, this would be so funny.
Yeah, I had the sideline view per se. We were at about the 20, 25-ish, something like that. So you kind of got to rely on the Jumbotron at that point. And at that point, you got the perfect angle. So, yeah, for a split second, it looked like, okay, maybe this has got a chance to swing left. But, yeah, it just didn't have that final push, I feel like, at the end. But, yeah, not the kicks are tough when you're at the game unless you're directly behind the goalpost. It's like, all right, I'm just gonna wait to hear what the crowd says unless I want to just watch the Jumbotron. Yeah,
because I remember I was at the 2015 playoff game against the Seahawks, and by my angle, I thought that kick went in, and I wasn't alone. Everybody in my section, including the Seahawks fans, thought the kick went in. There's like 3 Seahawks fans that braved the cold.
Man.
It was a very embarrassing cheer.
I think a lot of people just assume, like, okay, chip shot, dude, it's going in.
Right. Right.
Like, we don't need to wait for the reaction, do we?
Did you see the weird Carolina New Orleans chip shot to win the game yesterday? It was clearly good. It wasn't that close, but the officials never put the hands up. Like, one of the officials was saying no. They never put their hands up, but everyone came on the field anyway because they knew it was good. It was weird. Go back and watch that video.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
I didn't see that.
It was strange. The next opponent, Green Bay Packers, next week for the 4-6 Vikings. They're coming off a narrow win against Arif Hasan's Jameis-led New York Giants. And he did throw that pick late in the game.
Finally threw He tried so hard to throw that pick, and they wouldn't let him. But they finally gave him the pick he wanted.
So the Giants edge up to 2-9. Packers are 6-3-1, 2.5 games above. I mean, I'm not saying the Vikings can work their way back into this race, but their first meeting with the Packers this year. Say that again.
It's good to be updated. Yeah, they're 3 games back. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. I mean, really, did 2.5 really with the tie.
Hey, sweep them, and it's a different.
There you go.
Just sweep them.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't like to because
score 5 touchdowns. That's going to be in my head for the rest of my life. By the way, just score 5 touchdowns.
I said this on the reaction yesterday, and Inman, you can respond to this because again you were gone yesterday, so it's all fresh with you. It's just hard to buy into the notion that the Vikings they're not mathematically out. They can still get to 10 technically. They've gone on winning streaks with this coach every year, but we don't have a body of work. Like we don't have the tape to point to, they're close. Like this looks like an offense that's poised to just explode and go on a run. It's not like the Bengals or, we got Joe Burrow back. We can go on a run. It's hard to grasp this offense, this team that has trailed for some of the most plays in the NFL, like down there with the Titans and the Jets, that they're going to go on a run. So that's where it's hard for me to say there's hope left for this season.
It's tough when you don't have that one thing to hang your hat on. Like, this is what we're elite at that can really carry us. Again, defense, I thought, gave up 19 points minus the 3 from the special team, 16 point. I mean, it's not really a defensive thing. We know that, although it's not as maybe elite as it was last year. Again, doesn't help your defense when your offense is going 3 and out and can't sustain drives, but they just don't have that one thing that just feels like it is an advantage week in and week out. And offensively, obviously, that's the big issue. They did get the running game going. I didn't watch a ton of the Packer game, but I saw Tyrone Tracy and Devin Singletary tore him up on the ground. They continue that kind of running game going against the Packers. Maybe that helps some things and just continues to kind of give the offense a little bit of life. Again, that's not going to be the end-all, be-all. Of course, you still got to pass the ball. But you're right, Sam. It's just a vibe check, man. It's just a vibe thing that, in a game of inches, the drops are one thing, which was inexcusable yesterday. But when you're missing some of these throws by that much and you're not even close, it's hard to sit there and say, yeah, if they just do X, Y, and Z, I mean, they're a playoff contending team. No problem. It just feels like we're multiple stages away or layers or steps away from being a very competitive team consistently week in and week out.
Yeah, and Macho Meach says Ryan Kelly will come back and return us to glory. Maybe so, but we had this in like week 4, week 5. Okay, after the bye, we'll get the injured players back, and that will help. And we did, for the most part, except Kelly, didn't really help. Kind of got worse.
I mean, the run defense, last game excluded, did get better with the return of Blake Cashman and Harrison Smith getting full-time snaps. That helped a little bit.
Can I throw in a very, very late
obviously helped
nerdy stat that I've been trying to look up for the last 20 minutes?
Perfect.
Is True Media. I was trying to get a split of Eric Wilson's pass rush by where he lines up, whether he lines up as a defensive end or as as a linebacker. And as a true linebacker, lining up from depth and being a blitzer, twice as much pressure percentage. 11 of 55, which is insane. Really doing a great job blitzing on those running backs. He has as an edge, like he's been doing for 163 snaps. He has 4 pressures. He's done it. He's gotten there 4 times, which is
so you're saying the 229-pound off-ball linebacker that played safety in college is better against running backs than he is against offensive tackles?
Arif, are you saying you know better than Brian Flores?
I would never. Sorry, Smith Borch is saying Demetrius Underwood isn't walking through that door to save us.
What are you guys talking about? I was so locked in on True Media. What's happening?
Oh, we're just talking about the fact
chat.
that there's not one thing that you can flip a switch where the Vikings will kind of move forward. There's too many problems to fix for us to reasonably expect that there's some kind of miraculous run. The chat has talked about a couple of miraculous runs, like 2 Packers runs in there, like 2016 and was it 23?
I talked about the 2016 one last time where like they had to literally run the table.
Yeah.
So I guess that's the goal now.
And so like the discussion is just there's not one thing that'll do it. But hey, Eric Wilson playing off-ball linebacker and having some edge defenders play on the edge.
Find our
that's
wins
the one thing.
where we
Maybe
can
that's
get them.
the one weird trick that makes doctors hate Brian Flores.
I saw a lot of 24 out there yesterday. How was Jay Ward?
Surprisingly active. I couldn't give you a conclusion on how well he played on like coverage plays and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but
just the eye test though.
Missed a sack. Missed a really bad sack.
Who didn't though?
Yeah, but like he got pressure. He's a safety, whatever. Yeah, he missed a sack. He got there. He affected the play. It's more than
I was just surprised. I was like, man, 24's out here a lot here.
Jay Ward played actually hold on. The box score would not quite support that he was out there a lot. 6 snaps, it says, is all.
That's
what,
it.
really?
Okay, 6 snaps more than I thought going into the day when I was sitting at my seat that I thought I was going to see Jay Ward out there.
He must have been flashing a lot for those 6 snaps.
every play he was on the field, he did something. That's crazy.
Had one run stop, 1 miss, which was probably the miss sack, 1 pressure, and
which is
no
also
targets.
Also the miss sack.
Yeah.
in coverage. Yeah. Someone asked if anyone got hurt yesterday. Isaiah Rodgers was fine, I guess, after the helmet.
Took a stinger. Yeah, that looked kind of serious there on the field.
Yeah. But they did the neurological testing, and as you know from Brian Dable's experience, they cannot be bullied. So he's fine.
Packers next, then Seahawks, then the schedule lightens up. I mean, I think you got
perfect. Wait, it's perfect for JJ McCarthy to rattle off a bunch of meaningless ones and make us feel like a little good
and not get our top 10 pick
from
right.
4
and a bunch of the worst people will be mad about that, which is perfect.
Yeah, the arc of the universe tends
it's gonna
towards
happen.
Takes.
Yeah. The arc of the universe tends toward people who want to quit on the season get punished. Yes, good.
Yeah.
That's justice.
That's what he envisioned when he said that.
Yeah. God made the world in his image, and his image is not a quitter.
2 months away from Luke Inman's prospect of the day. We're counting it down. You excited, Luke?
Can't wait.
He's already got one.
You could probably start, honestly.
I was gonna say, like, are we 2 months? Really?
I'm seeing mock drafts on social media. It's
Yeah,
fine.
get ready to learn the name Caleb Downs, I guess.
Oh boy.
Dante Moore, QB of the future.
No.
These Oregon guys, man, they just win.
Dante Moore looks great. They're not getting a quarterback, man.
The squad show's back on Wednesday with the Care 11 crew. Tuesday is the Ron Johnson Show on Locked On Sports Minnesota. Check out Locked On Vikings with Luke Braun. Check out the Postcast with Luke Inman. He's covering every single Wolves game after the game, instant reaction. And Arif Hasan writes at Wide Left. I'm Sam Ekstrom. Thanks for watching, listening, commenting, and subscribing today on the Vikings Squad Show. We'll talk to you next time.